guys, it's Stephanie.
It's Emily.
And welcome to our channel again. Today we are going to talk about this book, The Grownup by Gillian Flynn.
This book, not this book, but this essay, horror essay, is really in tune with her usual themes. It's very much about like a strong female, a little bit, you know, ambiguous in terms of her morals. And she gets herself into a really sticky situation and things aren't as what they seem. It's definitely in lines with like
Her type of book.
Her type of book.
Yeah.
And this book itself, not book, but the essay, I believe also won the Edgar Award. So that means like Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
So definitely.
And then we also got this book, also for our book of the month, but I think this was for our January.
Yeah.
They gave us a free book because I think it's some sort of collaboration with Gillian Flynn. So we both got a book of one of this, and yeah, let's get into it. So for our first impression, and I will say maybe this one.
You thought it was
because
shocking?
I was kind of like, oh, okay, like I was not expecting some of the things that happened, like especially at the end. I was definitely like, what the heck just happened here? So definitely this one is for me. But I don't know if I like it or not, so I'm still kind of on the fence about that. But
So just one smiling.
yeah, just one emoji.
Okay. For me, I wasn't shocked by most of the story. I felt like some of the twists were nice, but I would definitely say my feeling overall was kind of like
Sad.
not sad in general, but a little like being like I don't really quite like what just happened there.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't necessarily like, oh my god, this is like a cliffhanger, I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen, and I wasn't investing enough or caring enough about the character to be all teary about like her fate or whatever. But I guess this is supposed to be sad, but I'm taking it more as in like I am a little
disappointed.
Not disappointed by the book, but I'm really on the fence in terms of where I am, and it doesn't really go with a smiley. It's more like yeah, maybe. Yeah. And I'd say this story definitely didn't ring with me as much as Gone Girl did. In her
So maybe even
books.
like this emoji then, like a pondering kind of like, not in terms of, so this emoji is like very vague because it wears many hats. One is like very confused, like I don't know what just happened. One is like I had to think a lot about this book, so it's like very pondering. And the other way you can, you know, decipher this emoji is like you said, you know, where you're just kind of like, oh, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence. So I think maybe this one would be better suited for you.
Better? Okay.
Yeah, because that one just seems like you're just kind of sad and like not happy, disappointed. Whereas this one is more like,
that's true.
you know, like,
all right, well,
yeah.
In that case, I'll choose this one again. Yeah. But I definitely was a little disappointed though about like in terms of her books, like her stories. I felt I wanted something more like Gone Girl, and that wasn't it.
Yeah, that's true. So once again, we do not have discussion questions for this book, unfortunately. So we'll just have to talk about our feelings, like girls do, and
and then
yeah,
we're not men.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So another thing, if you haven't watched the other video where we talked about her December book. Whatever Happened to Interracial Love, where it's like just a short story book. This is also a short story. Like, I consider this a short story because it's what, like, I don't even know how many pages. It's really thin, you know. There's like
the font's pretty big.
Yeah, so there's like 60 pages in here. So it's definitely considered as like a short story essay kind of thing. But I don't know. As you can tell, I'm not a fan of short stories. I was very confused with beginnings and with the end, mainly because okay, so I feel like I kind of got it, you know, like this is what she does, this is her profession, and then as it like changed from her first profession to what she was doing when this actual story took place, I was kind of like, okay, like I don't know how they're related whatsoever, but whatever. So like I said, like she said, you know, Gillian tends to have very ambiguous, like female, very strong but ambiguous in terms of their moral ethics, whatever. So that definitely is in line with that. But the ending for me was kind of weird. Like I was not expecting that. I thought the book was just kind of going straight, you know, like it's like going straight, you know, like there's no deep deviations from it whatsoever. And then all of a sudden I was just like, wait, what? And then at the really end, like with that person, I was just like, wait, what? And then it just ended, and I was just like, what? Mainly because like I said, I don't like short stories, you know, like once, like I hate books that like have this really kind of a big cliffhanger. Like I don't know if it's a big cliffhanger, but it's definitely a cliffhanger.
Okay.
You know, where you still have to kind of decide for yourself what happened. Like it's not clear cut, like they live happily ever after, you know. So
for me, I think this short story ending on a cliffhanger was a good strategy, but then again, as a reader,
yeah, I mean it's a good strategy, but
I think that's basically the horror of it all, is the fact that you don't really know at the very end who's good and who's bad. You only know that the main character is probably in for a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And so overall, like the story itself, Gillian Flynn tends to always focus on main characters that are actually in a lot of ways despicable. They're really not likable whatsoever. But you kind of go along with it because you kind of want to see what other like bad thing they're going to do next.
Yeah, and that's why they're always considered like a thriller, because you always want to see what's happening next, and they tend to be more like action filled, you know,
or suspense.
Yeah, there's a suspense.
Yeah, there's always something happening.
Yeah, there's always something happening. You're always kind of like curious, like okay, and then we read what's next. So this book for me, I read it in like 20 minutes probably. It was so fast. I was just like, oh my god, like what's going on? Like can you finish this? And then the ending, I was like very disappointed. So
in terms of my thoughts on the characters, maybe because it was a short story, but I don't think that's really a big factor. I think a lot of the most of the major characters were very like one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Like it was very clear what role they were going to play.
Right.
And that might have actually taken away a little bit of the shock or the thrill, for me at least, in terms of getting to the end and being like, oh, that's what happened. All right. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think of the characters?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, for short stories, I feel like the characters don't really play a huge part because they're there for like 60 pages, you know, and it's not just one character. I mean, it follows one character, but she has interaction with, you know, two other main characters, I would say, and you never really understand in depth like who they really are, and I mean the main character you kind of see a little background because she digs a little background on that, but the background for the other characters, nothing. There's like, you don't know until the end, and then at the end that's where you're confused because you're just like, wait, so who's really telling the truth, you know, like what is really going on, and then it ends.
Well, I mean, I think that was the point of the story, and she does that exceedingly well. She's like, Gillian Flynn's definitely a great at plot development and setting. Like she does that perfectly. Right. But I would just say that in general, maybe because of the restraint that you have to, you know, have for short stories, the fact that the characters didn't really go out of scope was a big turnoff for me, because I was like, all right, well, this is where the story's going. Okay. Check. You know? But I think the biggest twist in the story is that the ending. Well, other than the ending, but in terms of genre, right? So this is pretty much advertised a lot as a ghost story. Because just in the back it says you like ghost stories. Yeah. And it doesn't really end up that way at all. So I definitely can like applaud Gillian Flynn for using even that to sort of like mess with our minds a little bit. Being like, oh, I thought I was reading like, you know, an actual supernatural story. Right. And it ends up being something completely different. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's true. I was actually thinking, I thought it was gonna be like a murder mystery kind of like thriller kind of book with ghosts as the theme, but that wasn't the case. So, but she does it for all of her books though. All of her books.
Well, that's also
like it's her thing. It's her motto. Like I mean, not motto, but
it's
the way how she writes. And every time she writes something, she just kind of like talks about something completely foreign and then puts that as like the centerpiece. So when you pick it up, you're thinking that is what this book is going to be about, and it's
Right.
never the case.
Yeah.
I mean, end of the day, it's really her style, you know, like
Okay.
that's the type of books that she writes, and she's good at it, so she sticks with it.
I actually find that most of her stories are actually quite different.
No, but like, I mean, they're all different. Don't get me wrong, but the underlying style, the way how she writes the books, are the same.
She really likes to mess with her
Yeah,
readers. Let's
yeah.
just say that, and I think her readers, for some reason, enjoy it.
And she never writes like
Katie.
straightforward books, you know.
I like that. That's the whole point of
and it's
like,
good. It's good.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that kind of writing style, I don't know how well that works on a short story, because I feel like her book needs time to kind of like comprehend, understand the characters, understand the plots. Whereas a short story, like in this case, you don't really get any of that chance to do that because it's so short. I mean, it's called a short story. So I think like her writing style and her like type of books doesn't really suit for like, you know, an essay or like something as short as this book. So
well, technically for you, it's like no writing is suited
yeah,
for
that's
short
true.
stories.
That's true. So final thoughts is, I guess after, you can go first.
I'm gonna change mine to just like, I think after talking a little bit more about it, I definitely felt that I liked it. I wasn't as disappointed anymore. It was weird, but yeah, I think it's just because as I slowly talked about like my own feelings towards how like she came about certain characters, it started to make more sense to me. I think that's usually the trend with me here.
Yeah.
So
Mine is gonna be turned into this. What did I have before again? I
You
had
had
the wow face.
this
Yeah.
face.
Yeah. So that was
hers.
my prior, but
Yeah.
this is gonna be mine ending, my final impression, mainly because after talking about it, like you said, like I'm starting to be like, okay, like even though like yes, the ending was surprising for me and the book overall was kind of like a wow kind of shock kind of factor, but now that we're talking, it kind of made me think a little bit more and just kind of be like, oh, okay, like, you know, this is her style, this is how she does things, and even though it was a short story, it wasn't terrible.
These things remind me of lollipops. It's like,
Okay,
Yeah.
just go eat it, it's fine. Okay, so this is where the video ends for today. That's all we have to say for this book. I will also link, again, I will link the Goodreads link below in case you want to read a little bit more about it, as well as the Book of the Month link in case you want to actually purchase it. You can do that as well. And yeah, I think that's it. So thank you for watching. Bye!
bye.